The massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber opened with a deep rumble that echoed through the vast space. Commander Jinho Park stepped forward, his black dress uniform crisp and perfect despite the long journey from Earth. Behind him walked Ambassador Minji Kim, her face calm but her hands slightly trembling. This was the moment humanity had worked toward for 50 years since first achieving faster-than-light travel. The chamber was enormous, bigger than any building on Earth. Thousands of beings from across the galaxy filled the curved rows of seats that rose up like a mountain around the central speaking platform. Jinho had studied the major species for months, but seeing them in person still took his breath away. The Vorthic representatives towered 12 feet tall, their blue-scaled skin gleaming under the chamber lights. Their yellow eyes looked down at the humans with obvious boredom. Near them sat the ethereal collective, beings of pure energy contained in shimmering force fields. They pulsed with different colors, which Jinho knew was their way of laughing. Dr. Sun-Ho Lee, Earth's chief scientist on the mission, stood at the back of the human delegation. His job was to observe and learn everything he could about alien technology. What he saw made his heart sink. The chamber itself was a marvel of engineering that Earth could not match. The artificial gravity worked perfectly throughout the massive space. The translation systems let every species understand each other instantly. The delegation from the planet Earth requests permission to address the Council, announced the central computer in a voice that somehow sounded bored. A ripple of what could only be laughter ran through the assembled aliens. The sound was strange, mixing chirps, hums, and vibrations that made the humans' teeth ache. High above them in the council seats, a massive crystalline being leaned forward. This was First Speaker Morthic of the ancient Keth Imperium. "Approach and state your petition." "Small ones," the first speaker said. The words came through the translator, but everyone could hear the amusement in the original alien language. Jinho walked to the center of the platform. His footsteps echoed loudly in the sudden silence. He had practiced this speech 1,000 times, but standing here under the gaze of beings who had ruled the galaxy for millions of years made his mouth dry. "Honored council members," he began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustics. "I am Commander Jinho Park, representing the United Earth Government. We come before you today to request membership in the Galactic Federation." Another wave of alien laughter filled the air. This time it was louder and more open. In the viewing galleries, beings pointed at the humans and made gestures that needed no translation. A new voice boomed from the council seats. "Tell us, little humans, what do you offer the galaxy?" This came from War Prince Thaxel of the Drakmor hegemony. His species looked like walking tanks, covered in natural armor plates. "What great achievements have you accomplished?" Jinho straightened his shoulders. "We have achieved faster-than-light travel. We have unified our planet under one government. We have eliminated poverty and disease. We have explored 12 star systems and established colonies on 4 worlds." The laughter grew louder. A voice from the audience shouted, "12 whole systems! How impressive!" More laughter followed. Ambassador Minji Kim stepped forward. She had been chosen for this mission because of her skill with languages and her ability to stay calm under pressure. "We offer our knowledge, our determination, and our desire to learn from the great civilizations of the galaxy." Knowledge? The question came from a floating sphere that pulsed with rainbow colors. This was a representative of the mechanized collective. What knowledge could a species barely out of its technological infancy possibly offer us? "Your species still uses projectile weapons," observed a tall, thin being with gray skin and large black eyes. "You power your ships with primitive fusion reactors. You have not even learned to manipulate matter at the quantum level." Dr. Sun-Ho Lee felt his face burn with embarrassment. Everything the alien said was true. Earth's most advanced warships would be nothing more than toys compared to the vessels. He could see through the chamber's transparent walls. Chief Engineer Hyok Nam stood quietly at the edge of the human group. While the others focused on the speeches, he was studying everything around him. His enhanced vision implants, hidden beneath contact lenses, recorded every detail of the alien technology he could see. The power systems, the gravity generators, the force field projectors, all of it was decades ahead of anything Earth had developed. "Perhaps," said first speaker Morthic, "you could tell us how long your species has existed?" "Modern humans have existed for about 200,000 years, Jinho replied. "Our recorded civilization goes back about 10,000 years. The silence that followed was somehow worse than the laughter. Then a new sound filled the chamber, a deep humming that vibrated through the floor. It took the humans a moment to realize this was how the ancient species expressed contempt. 10,000 years, repeated the first speaker slowly. My people have maintained this council for over 3 million years. The youngest species here has a recorded history of 50,000 years. You are infants pretending to be adults. Your species is also remarkably violent, added another voice. Our observers report that you have fought wars continuously throughout your history. You have weapons designed specifically to kill your own kind. This is not the behavior of a civilized species. Communications Officer Anhabe stepped forward. We have moved beyond warfare. Earth has been at peace for 30 years now. 30 years? Mused War Prince Thaxel. A blink of an eye. How long before you return to your savage ways? Ambassador Minji-Kim tried one more approach. We ask only for the chance to prove ourselves. Grant us probationary membership. Let us show you what humanity can accomplish when guided by wiser, more experienced species. The first speaker raised one crystalline appendage and the chamber fell silent. The council has reached its decision. The species known as humans are denied membership in the Galactic Federation. You are classified as a developing civilization, to be monitored but not interfered with. The words hit the human delegation like physical blows. Junho felt his knees almost buckle. However, the first speaker continued, we are not without mercy. The Kaleri Protectorate has volunteered to serve as your guides and teachers. They will help you understand the proper way to conduct yourselves in civilized space. A new group of aliens stood up in the gallery. The Kaleri looked almost human, but taller and thinner, with pale blue skin and superior expressions. Their leader, Overseer Vexhai, bowed toward the council. We will teach these young humans the basics of interstellar etiquette, he said. With proper guidance, they may become civilized in a few hundred years. As the human delegation was escorted from the chamber, Dr. Sun-Ho Lee heard the betting begin. Alien voices speculated on how long it would take for humanity to destroy itself. The most popular guess was 50 Earth years. Some optimists thought it might take as long as a century. None of them noticed the quiet determination in the humans' eyes as they left. None of them saw Chief Engineer Hyok Nam smile slightly as he reviewed the technical data his implants had recorded, and none of them realized that they had just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. The humans walked back to their ship in silence. But it was not the silence of defeat. It was the silence of a species that had just been challenged. And humanity had never backed down from a challenge. 6 months had passed since the humiliating rejection at the Galactic Council. Earth had become the favorite joke across thousands of worlds. On the entertainment networks that spanned the galaxy, comedy shows featured bumbling human characters who could not figure out simple alien technology. The humans were always portrayed as violent, stupid creatures who solved every problem by hitting it with rocks. Captain Minho Choi stood on the bridge of the HSS Defiance, watching the stars through the main view screen. The ship was officially called a research vessel, and that was what their Kaleri watchers believed. But Minho knew better. Every line of the Defiance had been designed for war. Captain, called Lieutenant Sora Yun from the tactical station, we have another message from Overseer Vexhai. He wants to inspect our weapon systems again, Minho sighed. The Kaleri had been assigned to watch over humanity like parents watching dangerous children. For 6 months they had treated humans like idiots who needed constant supervision. Every human ship had a Kaleri observer aboard. Every human colony had Kaleri advisors telling them how to build their cities properly. Tell the Overseer that our weapons are still the same primitive projectile systems he saw last week, Minho said. Nothing has changed. That was not entirely true. While the weapons looked the same from the outside, Chief Engineer Hyok Nam had been very busy. The data he had collected at the Galactic Council had been worth its weight in gold. Earth scientists had spent 6 months studying alien technology, and they had learned amazing things. Down in engineering, Sergeant Taiho Shin ran his hands over the new weapon systems. They looked like standard human railguns, but inside they contained technology that should not exist on a human ship. The power cores used principles stolen from Kaleri energy systems. The targeting computers were based on alien quantum processing. Methods, Sergeant Shin, called a voice behind him. He turned to see Dr. Yunji Han, Earth's leading physicist. She had been working day and night since returning from the council. "Doctor," Taiho said, "how is the project going?" Dr. Han smiled, but there was something dangerous in her expression. "We have had a breakthrough. The aliens all use the same basic shield technology. They think it is impossible for lesser species to understand it. They are wrong." She led him to a sealed laboratory where her team had been working. Inside, a holographic display showed the energy patterns of alien shield systems. The display was beautiful, with waves of color flowing in complex patterns. Every alien shield works on the same quantum frequency, Dr. Han explained. They have been using this technology for so long that they think no one else can access it. But our quantum computers are different from theirs. We can see the frequency and we can disrupt it. Taiho stared at the display. "You mean we can cut through their shields?" "Better than that," Dr. Han said. "We can make their shields work against them. One properly tuned pulse and their own defensive systems will tear their ships apart." Meanwhile, in the communication center, Officer Inhabe was listening to intercepted alien transmissions. The galaxy was full of chatter about the amusing humans and their primitive ways. She had become very good at understanding alien languages, even without the translation computers. "Captain," she called over the intercom, "you should hear this. The Drakmor hegemony is planning something." Captain Minho came down to listen. The transmission was from a Drakmor military base to their high command. The armored aliens were discussing human expansion with obvious irritation. "The humans have established colonies in 12 systems now," the transmission said. "Their Kaleri babysitters report that the humans are building defensive positions on every world. This is concerning behavior for a species that claims to be peaceful." Another voice replied, "They are primitives playing with toys. If they become too troublesome, we can discipline them easily. Their weapons cannot even scratch our hull armor." Minho and Inha looked at each other. The aliens still thought humans were harmless, on the Kaleri observation ship that shadowed the Defiance. Overseer Vexhai was making his daily report to the Galactic Council. His pale blue face showed mild annoyance as he spoke to the communication. "Crystal, the humans remain as primitive as expected," he reported. "They have made no significant technological advances. Their weapons are still crude chemical and magnetic projectile systems. Their ships are poorly armored and lack proper defensive screens." What Vexhai did not mention was that the humans had become very secretive. They worked on projects in sealed areas that the Kaleri could not observe. When asked about these activities, the humans would politely explain that they were working on improvements to their life support systems or their food preparation equipment. "The humans do show concerning aggressive tendencies," Vexhai continued. "Every colony they establish becomes heavily fortified. They seem unable to build anything without adding weapons to it. However, these weapons are primitive and pose no threat to civilized vessels." Back on Earth, Admiral Wanho Jiang was meeting with the Planetary Defense Council. The room was deep underground, shielded from any possible alien observation. Around the table sat the commanders of humanity's growing fleet. "How many ships do we have ready for combat?" Admiral Jiang asked. 57 vessels are fully operational," reported Captain Unikong. "Another 30 are in final construction phases. All are equipped with the new shield disruptor systems." "And our ground forces?" Jiang looked at General Changmin Ko. "Every human colony now has a full defensive garrison," the general replied. The aliens think we are building farms and cities. Actually, we are building fortresses. Each colony can hold off a significant attack, Admiral Zhang nodded. The aliens continue to underestimate us. Their entertainment shows portray us as violent idiots. Their military reports describe us as primitive and harmless. This gives us a great advantage. The meeting was interrupted by an urgent communication from Captain Minho Choi aboard the Defiance. His face appeared on the main screen and he looked grim. "Admiral," Minho said, "Overseer Vexhai has just delivered an ultimatum. The Kaleri demand that we surrender all research into what they call illegal weapon systems. They claim we are violating the terms of our supervision, and if we refuse?" Admiral Zhang asked. "They will use force to search our ships and colonies. The Overseer seems to think his vessel can easily overpower anything we have." Admiral Zhang was quiet for a moment. And he smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. "Captain Choi, please inform the Overseer that we will consider his request. Take your time with the consideration." The communication ended. Around the table, the human commanders looked at each other. They all understood what was about to happen. On the Defiance, Captain Minho walked back to the bridge. "Lieutenant Sora." Yun looked up from her station. "Captain," she said quietly, "the Kaleri ship is powering up its weapons systems. I think they are preparing to board us." "Battle stations," Minho ordered calmly. "But do not raise shields or power weapons yet. Let them make the first move." The crew moved quickly to their positions. Everyone knew this moment would come eventually. The aliens had pushed too far and underestimated too much. Communications. Officer Inhabe received the final transmission from Overseer Vexhai. "Human vessel, you will submit to immediate inspection or face the consequences. You have 60 seconds to comply." Captain Minho looked around his bridge. His crew was ready. Down in engineering, Sergeant Taiho Shin had his finger on the weapon. "Controls." Dr. Yunji Han was monitoring the shield disruptor systems. "Inha," Captain Minho said quietly, "send a message on all frequencies. Tell them Earth sends its regards." The Kaleri ship moved forward, confident that its superior shields could deflect anything the primitive humans might try. Overseer Vexhai was already planning his report about teaching the humans proper respect. He never got the chance to send it. The wreckage of the Kaleri observation ship drifted slowly through space, its hull split open like a broken egg. Inside the HSS Defiance, Captain Minho Choi watched the debris field with satisfaction. The Kaleri shields had collapsed in less than 3 seconds after the human weapons fired. Their supposedly superior technology had been useless. "Communications are going crazy across the galaxy," reported Officer Inhabe. "Every alien government is demanding to know what happened. Some think it was an accident. Others are calling it impossible." Captain Minho nodded. "Send our sensor records to Earth Command. Let them know the new weapons work exactly as planned." The news of the Kaleri defeat spread through alien space like fire through dry grass. On the entertainment networks, comedy shows about stupid humans were suddenly replaced with serious news programs. Military analysts tried to explain how primitive projectile weapons could have destroyed an advanced Kaleri vessel. Most alien governments decided it had been a lucky accident. The humans must have used some kind of explosive device that caught the Kaleri off guard. Surely they could not have developed real weapons so quickly. The Galactic Council met in emergency session. First speaker Morthic of the Kef Imperium called for order as hundreds of alien representatives argued about what to do. "The humans have clearly violated the terms of their supervision," declared War Prince Thaxel of the Drakmor hegemony. "They destroyed a Galactic Federation vessel without provocation. This cannot be allowed." "One lucky strike does not make them dangerous," replied a representative from the Ethereal Collective. "We should send a proper military force to discipline them. A show of real power will remind them of their place." The Council voted quickly. The Drakmor hegemony would send a battle fleet to Earth. The humans would surrender their illegal weapons and accept proper punishment. The galaxy would return to normal order. War Prince Thaxel smiled as he left the council chamber. His people lived for war, and fighting weak opponents was always satisfying. He would personally lead 50 of his finest dreadnoughts to Earth. The humans would learn to respect their betters. 3 weeks later, the Drakmor fleet arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system. The massive ships were dark and angular, covered in armor plates that had never been penetrated by enemy fire. Each dreadnought was over 2 kilometers long and carried enough firepower to destroy a city. Admiral Wanho Jiang waited for them aboard the HS Indomitable, humanity's new flagship. Around him, 11 other human ships held formation near Earth's moon. The human vessels looked tiny compared to the alien dreadnoughts. "Incoming transmission from the Drakmor fleet," announced communications. "Officer Azhabe, put it on screen," Admiral Jiang ordered. War Prince Thaxel appeared on the main view screen. His armored face showed contempt as he looked at the human admiral. Behind him, the bridge of his flagship was filled with weapon systems and tactical displays. "Human Admiral," Thaxel began, "I am War Prince Thaxel of the Drakmor hegemony. You are ordered to surrender immediately. Disable your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Your species will answer for the unprovoked attack on the Kaleri vessel." Admiral Jiang stood calmly in front of the view screen. He was a small man compared to the massive alien warrior, but his voice was steady. "War Prince, you are not welcome in our system. Turn your ships around and leave. This is your only warning." The sound that came from Thaxel could only be laughter. On his bridge, other Drakmor warriors joined in. "Warning? You command 12 tiny ships against 50 dreadnoughts. Your entire fleet could not scratch the paint on one of my vessels." "We have heard that before," Admiral Jiang replied quietly. "Our answer remains the same. Come and take it." The transmission ended. War Prince Thaxel turned to his weapons officer. "Begin the attack. Target their flagship first. Make it quick." The Drakmor fleet opened fire with weapons that could crack planets. Beams of energy that glowed like small suns reached across space toward the human ships. Any normal vessel would have been vaporized instantly, but the human ships were not normal. As the alien weapons struck, the energy beams bent and twisted, redirected by shield systems that should not have existed on primitive vessels. Most of the shots missed completely, deflected into empty space. "Impossible," War Prince Thaxel growled. "Those ships do not have proper shields. How are they deflecting our fire?" His tactical officers stared at his instruments in confusion. "Sir, the human vessels are using some kind of frequency manipulation. Our weapons are being turned against our own shield harmonics." Before Thaxel could respond, the human ships moved. Instead of retreating or trying to fight at long range, they accelerated directly toward the Drakmor fleet. The human vessels were much smaller and faster than the massive alien dreadnoughts. "Sir," called the tactical officer, "they are launching fighters. Hundreds of them." Ace pilot Biam Ru led the first squadron of human fighters toward the enemy fleet. His ship was tiny compared to the alien dreadnoughts, but it was fast and deadly. Behind him, 200 other fighters followed in perfect formation, the Drakmor. Point defense systems opened fire, filling space with weapons fire. But the human fighters moved like angry insects, dodging and weaving through the defensive screens. Their small size and incredible speed made them almost impossible to hit. "Target the weapon ports," Biomru ordered over the communication system. "Hit them fast and get out." The human fighters swarmed over the first Drakmor dreadnought like wasps attacking a giant. Their weapons were small but precisely aimed. Instead of trying to destroy the massive ship, they targeted specific systems. Weapon turrets exploded, sensor arrays went dark, engine systems overloaded. War Prince Thaxel watched in growing horror as his fleet was torn apart by enemies that should have been helpless. How are they moving so fast? How do they know exactly where to strike? The answer came from Major Yaren Choi, who led a boarding party that had somehow gotten inside the Drakmor flagship. Her team had entered through a maintenance port that the aliens had never thought to defend properly. "Drakmor vessel," her voice came over the communication system. "This is Major Choi of the Human Marine Corps. Your bridge is now under our control. Surrender or we will activate your self-destruct system." On the bridge, Drakmor warriors spun around in shock. Somehow, human soldiers had gotten behind their defenses and taken control of critical systems. It should have been impossible, Lieutenant. Commander Do-Yun Kim was attacking the Drakmor fleet from inside their own computer networks. His cyber warfare unit had found ways to hack alien systems that had been considered completely secure. One by one, Drakmor ships began firing on each other as their control systems were compromised. The battle that was supposed to be a simple punishment mission had become a nightmare. Of the 50 Drakmor dreadnoughts, 46 were either destroyed, captured, or drifting helplessly with their systems offline. The mighty Drakmor hegemony had been crushed by 12 human ships. War Prince Thaxel found himself a prisoner aboard his own flagship, looking at Major Yarn Choi with disbelief. "This is not possible. You are primitives. Your species has existed for only a few thousand years," Major Choi smiled coldly. "Your mistake was thinking that made us weak. Actually, it made us very good at learning quickly." Across the galaxy, alien governments watched the sensor records of the battle with growing fear. The humans had not just won. They had made the Drakmor fleet look like children playing with toys. In the Galactic Council chamber, First Speaker Morthic studied the battle reports with ancient eyes that had seen the rise and fall of 1,000 civilizations. "Perhaps," he said quietly, "we have made an error in judgment." But it was already too late. The honey badger had tasted blood and it was still hungry. The destruction of the Drakmor fleet changed everything. News of the battle reached every corner of the galaxy within days, carried by faster-than-light communication networks that had suddenly gone very quiet about human jokes. Fleet Admiral Gan Lim stood in the command center of New Terra, humanity's first major colony beyond Earth. Through the transparent walls, she could see construction ships building orbital defense platforms using salvaged Drakmor technology. Every human colony was being fortified with weapon systems that made alien military analysts lose sleep. "Admiral," called Colonel Seok Park, commander of the elite Pathfinder Corps, "we have established forward bases in 17 former Drakmor systems. The local populations are cooperating fully." Admiral Lim nodded. The species that had lived under Drakmor rule were not sad to see their oppressors defeated. Many were actively helping human forces, providing intelligence about other alien military movements. "What about resistance?" she asked. "Minimal," Colonel Park replied. "Word has spread about what happened to the Drakmor fleet. Most species are choosing diplomacy over warfare." Meanwhile, on Earth, Ambassador Hyung-woo Nam was preparing for his return trip to the Galactic Council. This time, humanity would not be asking for membership. They would be demanding it. The emergency council session was unlike any in galactic history. Representatives from hundreds of species packed the chamber, but the mood was very different. Then 6 months ago, there was no laughter, no jokes about primitive humans. Only fear and uncertainty. First Speaker Morthic called for order with a voice that carried the weight of ages. "The Council recognizes the representative from Earth, Ambassador." Nam walked to the central platform with confident steps. Behind him stood a delegation of human military officers whose reputations now struck fear into alien hearts across the galaxy. The sight of their simple uniforms made some council members shift nervously in their seats. "Honored Council, Ambassador," Nam began, "humanity returns to this chamber not as supplicants but as equals. We have proven our strength and our right to stand among the great powers of the galaxy." "You have proven your capacity for violence," interrupted a representative from the Vorthic Empire. "Destroying the Drakmor fleet was an act of unprovoked aggression." Ambassador Nam smiled coldly. "The Drakmor came to our home system with 50 warships and demanded our surrender. We defended ourselves. If the Council considers self-defense to be aggression, then perhaps the Council needs new leadership." Gasps echoed through the chamber. No one had ever spoken to the ancient powers with such boldness. War Master Kethmer of the Vorthic Empire rose from his seat. His species were tall and proud, with skin like polished metal and eyes that glowed with inner fire. They had been one of the galaxy's dominant military powers for over 1,000,000 years. The Vorthic Empire will not tolerate threats from a species of primitive savages, he declared. If you think your victory over the Drakmor makes you powerful, you are mistaken. The Vorthak fleet contains 3,000 ships of the line. And yet, Ambassador Nam replied calmly, the Vorthic Empire has not moved against us. Perhaps your 3,000 ships are not as impressive as you claim. The truth was more complex. Behind the scenes, alien intelligence services were desperately trying to understand how humans had defeated the Drakmor so completely. Dr. Jiang, CO, had cracked alien faster-than-light communication codes, allowing human intelligence to monitor every military transmission in the galaxy. Director Subin Park of Earth Intelligence sat in her underground command center, reading intercepted messages from a dozen alien governments. The aliens were terrified. Their analysis of the battle showed technology that should not exist. Weapons that could penetrate any known shield. Electronic warfare systems that could hack secured networks. Fighter tactics that no military academy had ever taught. "Ma'am," called one of her analysts, "we are seeing massive military buildup across 12-star systems. The aliens are forming some kind of alliance." Director Park studied the intelligence reports. The Vorthic Empire was leading the effort, bringing together every major military power in the galaxy. They called it the Galactic Coalition for Order. Their stated goal was to restore proper authority and discipline primitive species. Their real goal was to destroy humanity before it became too powerful. How many ships are they assembling? Director Park asked. Current estimates show over 300 capital ships, the analyst replied. It will be the largest fleet in recorded galactic history. Director Park activated her secure communication link to Earth Command. General Changming Ko appeared on her screen, his face grim. "General," she said, "the aliens are coming with everything they have. This will not be like the Drakmor battle." "This will be total war," General Ko nodded. "We have been preparing. How much time do we have?" 6 months, maybe 8, Director, Park replied. "They are moving carefully, trying to coordinate forces from across the galaxy." "That gives us time," the general said. "Time to prepare some surprises." Across human space, the greatest mobilization in history was beginning. War Production Chief Min Jae-song had converted entire continents into weapon factories and shipyards. The orbital platforms around Earth were building warships at a rate that would have been impossible just months before. But humanity's greatest advantage was not their growing fleet or their advanced weapons. It was their ability to learn and adapt. Every captured alien ship was studied and improved upon. Every battle provided new tactical knowledge. Every day made humanity stronger. On the bridge of the HS Indomitable, Admiral Wan Hojang met with his fleet commanders. Captain Dayan Huang commanded the experimental stealth squadron. Admiral Kyung-ho Lee led the main battle fleet. Captain Unikong oversaw logistics and supply lines. "The aliens think they know what we are capable of," Admiral Jang said. "They have studied the Drakmor battle and believe they understand our tactics and technology." "They are wrong." He activated a holographic display showing the latest human ship designs. The vessels looked similar to the ones that had fought the Drakmor, but appearances were deceiving. "Our new ships are 50% faster and carry twice the firepower," Admiral Jang explained. "Our shield systems can now absorb enemy fire and redirect it back at attackers. Our electronic warfare capabilities can take control of entire enemy fleets." "What about the numbers?" asked Captain Huang. "Intelligence reports show over 300 alien ships coming." Admiral Jang smiled, and it was the expression of a predator anticipating a hunt. "Let them come. They still do not understand what they are facing." The truth was that humanity had spent 6 months preparing for exactly this scenario. Every human colony was now a fortress. Every human ship was a technological marvel built from the best of both human and alien engineering. Every human soldier was trained in tactics that the aliens could not imagine, but most importantly, humanity had learned the galaxy's greatest secret. The alien civilizations were old and comfortable. They had grown lazy and predictable over millions of years of dominance. They fought by rules that had not changed in millennia. Humanity did not know those rules. And that made them the most dangerous species the galaxy had ever encountered. In the ancient archives of the Keth Imperium, scholars searched through records of species that had challenged galactic order. They found disturbing patterns. Young species often possessed advantages that older civilizations had forgotten: innovation, desperation, the willingness to try impossible things. First speaker, one scholar reported, there are historical precedents for what is happening. Young species have occasionally defeated much larger forces through superior adaptation and unconventional tactics. First speaker Morthic absorbed this information with concern. What happened to those young species? Most burned out quickly, the scholar replied. They lacked the resources for sustained conflict. But a few ... double quote, he paused, checking his records. A few became the new dominant powers. The ancient crystalline being pondered this. And the old powers that opposed them? They were destroyed. Or absorbed, came the quiet reply. As the Galactic Coalition assembled its massive fleet, none of its commanders knew that humanity was already 10 steps ahead. Human intelligence had infiltrated their communication networks. Human spies had reported on their battle plans. Human engineers had designed countermeasures for their most advanced weapons. The aliens were preparing to fight the species that had defeated the Drakmor 6 months ago. But that species no longer existed. In its place stood something much more dangerous. The honey badger had grown teeth. The Galactic Coalition fleet emerged from faster than light, travel at the edge of Earth's solar system like a moving constellation. 312 capital ships of the line, the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. Their combined firepower could turn planets into glowing debris. Supreme Admiral Kethmur stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Vorthak Dreadnought Eternal Dominance. His metallic skin reflected the lights of the tactical displays showing the human positions. Around Earth's moon, 12 human ships waited in what looked like a defensive formation. 12 ships, Admiral Kethmore said with satisfaction. They learned nothing from the Drakmor defeat. They still think their primitive cunning can overcome superior numbers. Captain Dan Wang watched the alien fleet approach from the bridge of HSS Shadow Strike, lead ship of humanity's stealth squadron. Her vessels were invisible to alien sensors, hidden in the asteroid belt beyond Mars. Around her, 11 other stealth ships waited for the signal to attack. Captain, whispered her sensor officer, the alien formation is exactly as intelligence predicted. They are confident and careless. Captain Huang nodded. The aliens had arranged their ships in the traditional battle formation used for millions of years. Massive dreadnoughts in the center, supported by smaller vessels in a protective screen. It was textbook alien warfare and completely predictable on Earth's surface. Planetary Defense Commander Yejin Cho monitored her hidden weapon systems. To alien sensors, Earth looked like a peaceful world with normal cities and industrial centers. They could not detect the massive railgun installations hidden beneath fake mining operations, or the missile silos disguised as grain storage facilities. All stations report ready, her tactical officer announced. The planet is armed and waiting. The Coalition fleet moved into attack formation with mechanical precision. Admiral Kethmur opened a communication channel to the human ships. Human vessels, his voice boomed across space. You are outnumbered 26-1. Surrender immediately and your species will be allowed to continue existing under proper supervision. Resist and we will reduce your pathetic fleet and your homeworld to cosmic dust. Admiral Sunghan Beek appeared on the alien viewscreens from his flagship HSS Retribution. He was a calm-looking man with gray hair and steady eyes. His voice carried no fear, only quiet determination. Coalition forces, he replied. You have entered our star system with hostile intent. Leave now or face the consequences. We will not warn you again. The sound that came from the alien bridges could only be described as contemptuous laughter. 300 ships against 12. The outcome was obvious. Begin the attack, Admiral Kethmur ordered. Target their flagship first. Make this quick and decisive. The coalition fleet opened fire with weapons that could crack moons. Beams of coherent energy lanced across space toward the human ships. It should have been the end of human resistance. Instead, something impossible happened. The human ships did not try to dodge or retreat. As the alien weapons struck, the energy beams were absorbed by shield systems that glowed brighter with each hit. The more power the aliens poured in, the stronger the human defenses became. "Report," Admiral Kethmer demanded. "Why are their shields not collapsing?" His tactical officer stared at his instruments in confusion. "Sir, they are using some kind of energy absorption matrix. Our weapons are actually making their shields stronger." Before the Admiral could respond, the human fleet moved. But instead of the 12 ships he expected, hundreds of vessels suddenly appeared from nowhere. The research stations and communication relays scattered throughout the solar system revealed themselves as fully armed warships. Strike Group leader Tai Yong-ha commanded one of the hidden battle groups that had been disguised as civilian installations. His ships erupted from concealment behind asteroids and space debris, appearing in perfect attack formation behind the alien fleet. "All units," he transmitted, "execute Phoenix pattern. Hit them where they are not looking." The human ships moved with coordination that shocked the alien commanders. While coalition forces were built for massive fleet actions in open space, human vessels were smaller, faster, and designed for close-range combat. They swarmed through the alien formation like wolves attacking cattle. Electronic warfare specialist Neon Go sat in her command center deep beneath Earth's surface, her fingers dancing over quantum processing interfaces. Around her, dozens of technicians worked to penetrate alien computer systems that had been considered absolutely secure. "I have access to 17 coalition ships," she reported, "taking control of their navigation systems now." Across the battle zone, coalition vessels suddenly began firing on their own allies as their targeting computers were compromised. Ships that had fought together for centuries found themselves unable to tell friend from enemy. Supreme Admiral Kethmer watched his perfect battle plan dissolve into chaos. "How many ships do they have?" "Our intelligence said 12 vessels maximum." The answer came from Admiral Sung-hun Beek's voice over the communication system. "Admiral, you made the same mistake everyone else has made. You assumed we would fight. By your rules, the truth was devastating. Humanity had not built 12 ships. They had built 12 battle groups, each containing dozens of vessels. The mining equipment on Earth's colonies were actually weapon systems. The communication satellites throughout the system were armed platforms. Even Earth's moon had been converted into a fortress. War Production Chief Min Jae-song had transformed human space into the most heavily armed region in the galaxy. Every asteroid had been hollowed out and filled with weapons. Every space station could fight like a warship. Every seemingly peaceful installation was actually a military base. "Impossible," Admiral Kethmer growled. "No species could build so much so quickly." "You still do not understand," Admiral Beek replied. "While you were debating and planning, we were working. Every day, every hour. We turned our entire civilization into a weapon pointed at anyone who threatened us." The coalition fleet, designed for traditional battles between massive formations, found itself fighting an enemy that did not exist 5 minutes ago. Human ships appeared and disappeared like ghosts. Weapons fire came from directions that should have been empty space. Their own vessels turned against them as human cyber warfare specialists took control of alien systems. Planetary Defense Commander Eugene Cho activated Earth surface weapons. What the aliens had dismissed as industrial equipment revealed itself as the largest fortress in human history. Railgun installations that stretched for kilometers launched projectiles at significant fractions of light speed. Missile batteries disguised as cities filled space with intelligent munitions that could think and adapt. "Target the alien command ships," Commander Cho ordered. "Cut off their leadership and the rest will fall apart." The battle was unlike anything in galactic history. Traditional alien warfare involved massive ships exchanging fire at vast distances, with victory going to whoever had the most firepower. Human warfare was chaos made into an art form. Small ships working together could disable dreadnoughts 10 times their size. Electronic attacks turned enemy strengths into weaknesses. Weapons appeared from impossible angles and directions. Captain Daeun Wang led her stealth squadron in a devastating attack on the coalition's rear formations. Her ships had been invisible throughout the battle, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Now they appeared among the alien support vessels like sharks in a school of fish. "Phoenix Squadron," she transmitted. "Execute terminal runs on their supply ships. No survivors." The coalition's carefully planned logistics network disappeared in minutes. Without supply vessels, the massive alien dreadnoughts became expensive targets with limited endurance. As coalition ships fell like dominoes around him, Supreme Admiral Kethmer finally understood the terrible truth. His enemy was not the primitive species that had been rejected by the Galactic Council a year ago. Humanity had evolved beyond recognition in just months of warfare. "All ships," he transmitted desperately, "retreat to minimum safe distance. We need to regroup and reassess." But there was no safe distance in the solar system. Human weapons reached across millions of kilometers with perfect accuracy. Ships that tried to retreat found themselves under attack from directions they had not even considered. Admiral Sunghan Beek appeared on the coalition communication channels one final time. "Admiral Kethmer, you came to our home with the largest fleet in galactic history. You brought enough firepower to destroy worlds. You thought this would intimidate us." The human admiral paused, and when he continued, his voice carried the weight of absolute certainty. "You were wrong. We are not afraid of large fleets. We eat large fleets for breakfast." Of the 312 ships that had entered the solar system with such confidence, fewer than 30 would escape to carry word of humanity's victory. The rest would become salvage for human engineers to study and improve upon. The galaxy's greatest military powers had thrown everything they had at a single star system. They had been not just defeated, but completely crushed by an enemy they still did not understand. The honey badger had shown its teeth, and the galaxy would never be the same. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened in a chamber that had never known such fear. Representatives from across the galaxy spoke in hushed whispers, their voices carrying news that seemed impossible to believe. The greatest military alliance in galactic history had been completely destroyed by a single star system. First Speaker Morthic called for order with a voice that trembled for the first time in 3 million years. The ancient crystalline being had seen empires rise and fall, had witnessed the birth and death of countless civilizations. But he had never seen anything like the reports coming from Earth. "The Council recognizes President Yeoman-Ro of the United Earth Government," he announced. The human delegation entered the chamber with steady steps that echoed in the sudden silence. President Ro was a middle-aged man with calm eyes and a confident bearing. Behind him walked Foreign Minister Chaeyoung, UN Trade Representative Han Shin, but every alien eye was fixed on the silent figure of Fleet Marshal Kiano, whose reputation now struck terror into hearts across the galaxy. "Honored Council members," President Ro began, "humanity returns to this chamber for the 3rd time. We come not as supplicants requesting favor, nor as defendants answering charges. We come as equals demanding recognition." The chamber remained silent, no laughter this time. No jokes about primitive humans. Only the sound of alien breathing systems and the nervous clicking of various appendages. "Our terms are simple," President Ro continued. "Immediate membership in the Galactic Federation with full voting rights. Recognition of human territorial claims throughout former coalition space. Establishment of Earth as a co-equal power in all galactic affairs." War Master Kethmer of the Vorthek Empire struggled to his feet. His once proud form was diminished, his metallic skin scarred from his escape from the Battle of Earth. He was one of only 12 coalition commanders who had survived to reach safety. "The Vorthek Empire ... he began, then stopped. His voice carried none of its former arrogance. The Vorthic Empire acknowledges the strength of the human fleet. We are prepared to discuss terms, gasps echoed through the chamber. The proud Vorthak, who had never submitted to any power, were offering surrender. There are no terms to discuss, Fleet Marshal Kiano spoke for the first time. His voice was quiet, but it carried clearly through the vast chamber. You brought war to our home. You threatened our families. You sought to destroy our civilization. The consequences of those actions are not negotiable. Representative Vexhai of the Ethereal Collective pulsed with nervous colors. What? What consequences? Foreign Minister Che-Yung Yu activated a holographic display that showed current military positions throughout the galaxy. Red markers indicated human fleet locations. There were far more red markers than anyone had expected. Human exploration fleets have established forward bases in 47 star systems, previously controlled by coalition members, she announced calmly. These bases are now permanent human territory. Any attempts to reclaim them will be considered. Acts of war, the display updated to show human ship movements. Fleets commanded by Admiral Youngmin Payo were pushing into uncharted regions that other species had considered too dangerous to explore. Everywhere they went, they established fortified colonies and research stations. Impossible, whispered a representative from the mechanized collective. How did you build so many ships so quickly? Chief Scientist Ariam Chun stepped forward. Her team had spent the years since the Kaleri incident revolutionizing human technology at a pace that seemed supernatural. We learned from every ship we captured, she explained. Every battle taught us new techniques. Every alien technology we studied made us stronger. While you debated and planned, we evolved. The truth was more complex and more frightening. Humanity had not just copied alien technology, they had improved it. Human quantum computers could process information faster than alien systems. Human weapons could penetrate shields that had been considered impenetrable. Human ships could outmaneuver vessels designed by species with millions of years of engineering experience. Your species has existed for only a few thousand years, protested a delegate from the ancient Keth Imperium. How can you advance so quickly? Director Gehian Lam of the Human Diplomatic Corps smiled coldly. Because we had to. For our entire history, we have faced challenges that would have destroyed other species. Wars, diseases, natural disasters, resource shortages. Every generation of humans has had to be stronger and smarter than the one before, or we would have gone extinct. She activated another display showing human colonies throughout their new territory. Each world was already heavily fortified and rapidly developing. You grew comfortable, she continued. Millions of years of peace and stability made you soft. You forgot what it means to struggle for survival. We never had that luxury. President Rowe resumed control of the presentation. The old galactic order is finished. The coalition proved that the traditional powers cannot maintain peace or stability. Therefore, humanity will assume responsibility for galactic security and development. The chamber erupted in protests and arguments. Representatives demanded to know by what right humans claimed authority over civilizations millions of years older than their species. Fleet Marshal Kian-O raised one hand, and the chamber fell silent. When he spoke, his voice carried the authority of absolute power, by right of conquest, he said simply. By right of superior technology. By right of victory in battle against overwhelming odds. By the oldest right in the universe. The right of the strong to rule the weak. First Speaker Morthic processed this information with the wisdom of ages. He had seen this pattern before in the deep history of galactic civilization. Young species occasionally emerged with advantages that older powers could not match. Most burned out quickly. But a few became the new dominant civilization. What guarantees do we have that humanity will be benevolent rulers? He asked. None, President Rowe replied honestly. But consider the alternative. The coalition brought 300 ships to destroy a single world because we defended ourselves against unprovoked attack. They showed no mercy, no restraint, no wisdom. They lost. Trade Representative Hounshin stepped forward with a datapad containing humanity's proposals for the new galactic order. The terms were surprisingly reasonable. Existing governments would remain in place. Trade would continue. As before, the only requirement was acknowledgement of human authority in matters of galactic security. "We are not conquerors seeking slaves," she explained. "We are problem solvers seeking stability. The galaxy has been governed by fear and intimidation for too long. We offer protection in exchange for cooperation." But there was an unspoken threat behind the reasonable words. Human fleets now controlled the strategic systems. Human weapons could penetrate any defense. Human technology advanced daily while alien science remained stagnant. Ambassador Jae Yoon spoke from his new position as senior human representative to the Galactic Council. "The choice is simple. Accept the new reality and prosper under human protection, or resist and face the consequences that befell the coalition." As the session ended, alien delegates filed out of the chamber in stunned silence. The galaxy they had known for millions of years was gone, replaced by something new and terrifying. A young species with advanced technology and an uncompromising will to survive had taken control of galactic civilization. Later, in the privacy of his quarters, First Speaker Morthic composed a message for the historical archives. "Today marks the end of the Third Galactic Age and the beginning of the Fourth. The old powers have fallen, replaced by a species that should have been impossible. They call themselves human, but we should understand them differently. They are the living embodiment of evolution itself. They are what happens when the universe produces a species that refuses to accept limitations." He paused, considering his words carefully. "We thought we were apex predators until we encountered the honey badgers. Now we understand that in the vast darkness of space, there is always something more dangerous waiting to emerge from an insignificant little blue world." Throughout the galaxy, alien children would grow up hearing stories about the humans who came from nowhere to conquer everything. Some would see them as monsters who destroyed the old order.